right there on the screen. The anytone looks like connects this in the middle. It looks like two Motorola's. One here and what does DMR stand for?
Digital Mobile Radio.
That's right.
So I'm just curious, are the, what are you carrying right now? I'm just trying to figure out the cheapest option based on what is it.
The cheapest option for you would be to buy what John Sabini and myself have, the Anytone, for $169, and it's a dual band. It does better than this, which is $1,000.
Right.
And this is a Motorola. This is a brick.
I was going to ask. So the Motorola's are all overpriced?
Yes.
Of course.
This is a brick. But I can drop it. I'm not gonna.
Right.
But it could be dropped. It could be bounced around. You know.
And did you say the receiver, like the quality of the? You said it's like old reliable. Is how you explain it to me. No. Not
They've been in the business for years, Motorola, but you know they're saying the Anytone and the Connect System are just backward engineered Motorola's.
Oh, they reverse engineered it.
Yeah, and actually Motorola sued. I forget which company they sued. They sued one of the companies because Motorola techs engineers left Motorola, went to work for this other company, and used.
Motorola isn't the old Motorola anymore. Now they're Chinese radios, and Israeli radios.
Okay. DMR, Digital Mobile Radio. This is just the preamble. I strongly believe in supporting local and national amateur radio organizations, including membership in the ARRL. To keep our hobby active and growing, it is important that users support our clubs and individual repeater operators. We need to bring more youth and young adults into our hobby. The reality is that we are getting older, and many of us are closer to being silent keys.
Oh.
Who are you looking at?
Stand by, you're giving you the solidarity stare down.
That's better to come down
Then we
here.
was talking about. Hey, I'll be 60 in 2 months, so I hope I will leave amateur radio better off than when I first arrived on the scene. There will always be something new that generates interest in our hobby. There are 3 levels of involvement in DMR. The first is a user, where you begin with a single radio. And then later, possibly, you add a second or third radio. As you can see, I've added second and third radios, put radios in my car, and so forth. And later, possibly, you add all right, we did that. And the next level is a repeater operator, which we do have a DMR repeater in Stanford. That's very high tech, very good. It's got a heck of a punch. Our DMR repeater really puts out.
It does.
You generally undertake this because there are no repeaters in your area, but we do have repeaters. Now, our repeater is on the microwave backbone for the state police. NOLUX repeater is on the internet. So if the internet goes down, their repeaters can go down, their DMR can go down, but we're on the backbone. But then again, we could be thrown off if the state police feel they need their repeater for an emergency like this coming next couple of days. In Aries is on the microwave backbone. The third level of DMR participation is a network operator. As a network operator, you purchase and manage your own IPSC bridge, or C bridge, as it's called, and build regional networks that interconnect to other DMR networks. Amateur radio is a hobby. Webster defines a hobby as a pursuit outside one's regular occupation engaged in, especially for relaxation. I consider relaxation the most important part of a hobby. The second important part of a hobby is the friendships that are developed through participation in the hobby.
So let me ask you, who's a network operator, or do we have one?
We don't have one around here.
So the state police provide us with one, or the...
Well, the state
interface
police
guys?
have built the backbone, or they built the network we're actually using now. And then later on, and I don't know too much about it, but it's Brandmeiser and Ernest, the Russians built it.
Well, there you go.
Can I ask a
Seriously, the Russians, the main server's over in Russia. Yes, sir.
If we have a disaster this weekend like Sandy, how many amateurs will you get out on DMR versus analog?
Well, as I said, DMR can go all
Now,
over the
Howard,
year.
how many hams would you get out for DMR versus how many hams could you
You mean
bring
how
out?
many,
You got
operators?
How many locally is what you want to
Yes.
know?
how many? I would say it would be even, because I know a lot of people in Stanford have DMR radios and a lot of people have their regular analog radios. So you would have a mix of both.
You would say it's 50-50?
I would think so.
Think so? Wow, that's impressive.
You know,
I have to question that, but particularly the old-time hams who are still amateurs, not as active. There's a lot of analog equipment all over the place.
yeah, but a lot of
Isn't
the
that
old
much
hams
DMR?
aren't using their analog equipment.
And do they have DMR or do they
Yes.
have one of the other systems?
And a lot of old timers like DMR because they don't have to worry about doing HF. They can get DMR, and you know, of course, there was something put on one of the pages that said, "Can I get a QSL card for making a contact on DMR?" And then a reply was, "You get a QSL card for doing a SIPE or something like that." But you know, you don't get, just like you don't get a
Yeah.
QSL card for doing Echo Link.
You get a QSL card for the contact.
No, not really, because you're not really making a contact with DMR because you're just hitting repeaters. Just like Echo Link, you're not really making a contact. You might be talking to somebody somewhere else, but you're not making a contact.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about DMR, the difference, the history, the audio quality. Some people hate the spectrum efficiency, which is great. The local and worldwide network, repeater versus a hotspot, code plugs, which is how you program a DMR radio. Analog, we use chirp and so forth. You have to do a cold plug to make for DMR, and it uses a lot of work. In DMR, you have to use a computer. There are front panel buttons to push, but you got to do a computer to put all the information in. There's a lot of information in DMR. And DMR in our area today. Okay, brief history. DMR was developed in Europe by ETSI, Digital Mobile Radio. That's the European Telecommunications Standard Institute, and it is used worldwide by professional mobile radio users. Adopted as a commercial standard 20 years ago. It's always been in commercial. Motorola has been producing DMR for commercial use for years, and it's finally coming into being ham use. Certain people own the equipment and software, like Motorola doesn't want nobody to touch their stuff, and they won't give you none of their secrets. Connexus and the Anytone, it's out there, and they are spoon feeding you the information. You can get the information everywhere for those radios. 2 years ago, field programmable and ham friendly. Next.
Comes.
That's okay. Sleep at the switch.
Wake them
No,
up.
I'm actually listening. We were
Okay, you got the Titera, the Anytone, the Alliance, the TID, and the Motorola. I have the Motorola XPR up here, and I have an Anytone. I don't have the picture of the Connexus.
Right. And I know you said it before, but it's the price listed there. So the Anytone is now what, $250, $260?
Anytone, all the way on the left, the Anytone 868 is $169.
Oh, really?
And if you buy one, I would say go to Connexus, or it's called CSI, and
They
you'll
also
get the
give
best
you the
customer
bigger battery
service on the
also.
face of the planet. Jerry from Connexus is great customer service. Something wrong with a radio, he'll have you a new radio out there. He's putting all kinds of software on his site. You know, his radios are Connexus, but he's got the software on his site, which you'll see way farther in, where he has all the software and helping him do code plugs. He's got a lot of the information. There's a lot of good sites out there. I'm going to show you a few really good ones on here. DMR, there's a lot. We're only going to cover just a little bit of surface. I'm going to try to do as much as I can. Next. Wrong way.
Sorry.
Okay, DMR, good audio quality, poor audio quality, strong signal, weak signal. Digital versus analog. If you are used to operating an analog FM repeater, you have noticed that the analog quality degrades as the station's signal into the repeater uplink gets weaker. You start hearing an increase in noise, or QRM and stuff like that, intermixed with the audio until the signal gets so weak that they can't make it into the repeater. As you move further from the repeater, you will start hearing the same noise burst into your receiver as the repeater signal gets weaker, until you can no longer hear the repeater. The combination of a station's weak signal into a repeater and the repeater's weak signal to the listener can make usability degrade faster. The basic difference with digital repeaters is that the audio quality remains the same on the uplink and downlink until the very end of the coverage range. Then the audio starts sounding broken. On DMR systems caused by lost packets, because actually DMR is sort of a variance of packet radio. Because DMR, when you transmit with an analog, you're always the same power out. DMR, it swings. And you can use one frequency could have different time slots, which is the spectrum efficiency. Analog FM is 25 kilohertz, DMR 12.5 kilohertz. Tier 1 and Tier 2. Two-slot DMR occupies a 12.5 kilowatt bandwidth that two channels share using time slot division multiple, TDMA. This results in a spectrum efficiency of 6.25 kilohertz per channel. Comparing the spectrum efficiency of a DMR to a wideband analog FM, DMR uses 25% of the bandwidth per talk channel. Each channel can carry either voice and/or data depending on system design. The two time slots are called time slot 1 or TS1 and time slot 2 TS2. And with DMR, you could also do GPS, and DMR will allow you to send messages, SMS messages, through the DMR system. A lot of people don't have that features enabled yet, but it allows you to do that.
Does any tone have that capability?
Yes. Anytone actually lets you do GPS, and it also allows you to do FM radio. And I forgot where I was going with the next one, but GPS. Oh, Anytone lets you record. You can record the conversations on the Anytone. It built-in records your conversation if you want.
Oh, it's got an FM radio in it.
Yep, just like the U5R. But I'm saying it'll let you record conversations.
Now you say GPS. Transmit GPS, what about receive?
Yeah.
Does it give you the location?
It has a whole full color display with all kinds of information.
Okay.
Quite a bit of information. The Motorola I thought had a lot of information, but this one has more.
It'll send out tone alerts too.
Yeah, and there's other things where you could put lone worker or worker down, where if Ernest was out there and he went down, he could hit a button on his radio and it puts out a tone and sends a tone out there to let the base know that he's gone down and needs help or something. Next, please. Time slots. Two totally separate families in one structure. Think of it as a home with time slot 1, time slot 2, where you have your house divided in half. Each house has its own set of rooms, which is what time slots are. Next. Talk groups. You have local talk groups, TAC 310, TAC 311, nationwide channels, national, regional, mid-Atlantic. I ain't gonna go into that too much.
When you go on one of these mid-Atlantic or national or whatever, does that tie up every repeater in the area, or is it just from one repeater to another?
No, it ties up quite a few repeaters, because when you transmit, you go to one repeater, and then that repeater goes to another repeater, And when
So
you're
it's
on
tied-
worldwide, you
tied
can
all
actually
up.
tie up
Okay.
quite a few repeaters.
Okay.
That's why they ask you to go on to worldwide to call out. And then once you make a contact, you say, hey, let's go to local 310 or most people go to local 310 or local.
Okay.
You know, in Stamford, we have our repeater set up with local 310 and Stamford local.
311 too.
Yeah, well, we also have local B too. But you call out on worldwide or Southern New England. I monitor Southern New England in my truck, and I have it on scan, so it's scanning, and then other people talk, and if I key up, I can get on there and talk to them. But you don't, what you do is when you do it, you tie up multiple repeaters.
But you're only talking to one channel at a time. In other
One
words-
time slot, and you're
Well, I
on
mean, if you're talking.
one half of the,
If you're talking locally, there's a conversation going on between two people. There can't be another person on another.
yeah, because that's time slot two. You could use time slot
Yes,
two.
you can have two
Okay, so
separate
you
companies.
could do two simultaneous
Yeah,
communications.
that's why you call out on Southern New England and then you go to local. Keep going, till we get to two repeaters in one. One more, there we go. Two repeaters in one.
If you go
You
to
save on
local-
it. Yes, sir?
I mean, you said there's this TAC channel, that's for chatting on?
Yeah.
But
They-
does that go worldwide too?
No, because TAC 310, TAC 311, local A, local B is just Stamford. Or, you know, if depends on if you're on the Stamford or Norwalk or Wilton, whatever, Danbury, if you're on that repeater. Like, I'll call out on Southern New England, John Sabini will answer me. I'll say, hey, John, let's go to Wilton,
Yeah. but-
TAC 310. He'll turn his radio 310, and we'll only be tying up the Wilton repeater. We won't be tying up the whole network of repeaters.
Yeah, but if you got someone in Boston, you just have to stay on that channel for a minute.